So I have completed my Marasu also. Let us now move on to first shading our tile, and then we shall see if we want to add something else. We can always go back and do that. So what I'm going to do is add some shadows. I'm going to use my graphite pencil and add some shadows around this orb and some shadow under here. Like this. Not too much, spaces are small, so just keep it to the edges and then blend. Yeah, so I'm going to blend like this and then just a little bit here, not too much. Make sure your whites are also visible. So whenever you are shading, it's necessary that the whites are also visible. So blend only as much as is required. Yeah, as far as the Bronx chairs are concerned, I don't think we need to do anything else. I will just add a little darkness at the edges and nothing else. Something like this. Yes, take your time. Slowly add graphite on the border and just darken the edges a little bit. That's all I'm doing here on the first tile that we drew. Yeah. Moving on to the second narwhal, you generally add a shadow here under the lines that we have highlighted, and then you can just add shadow on one side, right or the left, that's entirely up to you. So it gives a nice high and low effect to this tangle, adding a shadow on one side and then just blend this graphite that you placed under this line like this. Yeah, again I'm going to do the same thing on this one also, and then add some shadow here. So first just blend this part, and then some bit of blending here. Like this. Jetties also, you can just add graphite on one side. That's a nice way to shade your jetties. A little darkness on one side. A little, not much, is what I am doing here. Take your time, blend it nicely. Yes, and you are sorted. You don't need to add more. That's our second tile. Moving on to our third, I'm just going to add shadows under these curvy lines. Not much of shading required there. We can always go back and embellish a little though, if you don't like the too much of black there. That's it. We don't need to do much on our striples. Looks nice this way. Moving on to our flux, I'm again going to add at the edges. Something like this. It will automatically get into my petals, so we don't have to separately make an effort to shade it. Take your time slowly. And then I'm going to add some dark graphite inside here. Really dark there. Maybe you can emphasize it with your gray brush pen also. Yes, let's see if we need to do that. First I'm just adding graphite. And then blend. Create a nice cloudy effect inside. Yeah. Now if you want to emphasize the dip here a little more, then what you can do is use your brush pen and just add a little extra darkness on one side. Something like this. It will just kind of emphasize the dip there. Yes? And then finally coming to our fourth, Marasu, you just have to shade the grid, both sides. No need to add on the blacks. Just go around and add on the white sections. That's all you need to do. The highlights are already in place, so you don't have to do much as far as highlighting is concerned. So let us blend. Take your time. Make sure you blend nicely. Yes, so you can see my Marasu popping up. As far as Indirellas are concerned, yes, you can add a little shade here. Just blur it a little, do not shade much. Yes, now let us embellish a little before we go ahead and do some other things. Yes, so what I'm going to do is add some bit of embellishments on these orbs. In my circles, I'm just adding some nice soft dots to give it a kind of a mystical feeling. Like this. Yes. So time for some highlights. Use your chalk pencil and highlight the other part of your narwhal a little bit, not much. Just some soft touches because you already have lot of gray there, so I'm not going to add much of chalk. You can also add highlights on your Indirella, the other part, the upper part of your Indirella. You can redo the highlight on your Marasu. Just redoing the highlights of my Marasu, running the chalk over the white and the blacks at the same time to add a nice highlighted effect like this. Yes, so I don't think we need to do more. And last but not the least, use your gray watercolor pencil and add that shadow under the overlaps. Yes. So again, I'm going to go to each of the overlaps, run my gray watercolor pencil there. Not too much, not too less. Again, run my watercolor pencil there wherever there is a overlap. Take your time and do that exercise. Use a normal brush or a brush pen, whatever is readily available with you, and just take the gray a little away to add that shadow kind of effect. Not blending too much, but yes, blending a little. Going to the next. Take your time slowly. Add that darkness there. Going to the third. Again, blend it a little. Even if it is on the blacks, just add a little darkness there. And the last one. Take your time. And that's it. I don't think we didn't need to do anything else. Using my gray watercolor and doing a little bit of dark thing there to show kind of a dip. Yes, if you want here on your flux, you can add a little bit of weight on one side. Just to add a little more character to your flux, I'm just redoing one side and adding a little extra weight. Yes, and you can see how that extra ink immediately adds so much character to your flux. Don't really need to do much to enhance look. Yeah, that's it. I think we are done. Some bit of shadow under the black pearls. Yeah. Now the rest of the tile, you can either leave it as such, or I'm just going to use some orange and yellow. I'm using my brush pen now. You can also use your watercolor pencil, your watercolor panel, whatever is readily available with you, your color pencils. I'm just using some orange and then I'm going to use some yellow, kind of blur my orange into the yellow. That's a normal brush pen. Take your time. I'm running over my orange also. Just like watercolor, it gets blended. That's the nice part of using a brush pen. Yes, just run over it and it kind of blends with your next color or with water. Yes, and you can do the same exercise other side also. Let's do that. So I'm almost done. Just be careful as you come close to your tiles. Just blurring the orange and blending. And that's it. We don't need to do anything else. If you want, you can give a touch of gold. Add some gold dots. Just use a little of my gray brush pen and I'd add probably a light shadow around my tiles, something like this, to kind of separate it from the background. But that's again optional. You may or may not do it. You can leave it as such. Yeah, so you may or may not do it. I'm just kind of creating a distinction between the background and our tiles. And that's it. So let's close our tile here. Do put in your chalk sitting somewhere on your work, your art, your beautiful creation. Do sign and date your tile. I shall see you again in the next session with some more interesting string ideas or tile on tile. Till then, have a good time. Bye bye.